Well, welcome back, Ventureroos. We are continuing our sort of series retrospective on the Adult Swim cult niche classic, The Venture Brothers. And once again, I'm joined by my good friends, T.R. Hudson and Capitalisimo. Mr. Hudson, how are you, buddy?
Go Team Venture. I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me back.
That's great. I mean, it's a wonderful show, and I don't know, it's just this thing those kids say all the time. Cap, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic today, and I'm ready to talk about one of my favorite real people ever to live, Dr. Henry Killinger.
And this
So
is the
true.
magic murder bag.
So true.
Are you ready to be a proud papa?
It becomes
That
a
is
papa.
Hank.
We're already doing it. We're already doing it.
We're less than a minute in.
It's
We're less than a minute in.
He's my favorite character of the whole series, and I think we all. I mean, I guess we can, prove this is your show, but I mean, it's obvious that the Doctor is Sin. I said it last episode that was my favorite episode of the whole series, and I'm pretty sure that's the one we all picked.
I did pick that one as the first of my two. I assume that you also picked that.
Yeah, so I'll look through. I'll look through and pick another one.
No. We didn't. Well, I told Cap which my episodes were because I asked him. I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any overlaps, but I like it in the red letter media style where sometimes there is overlap, so that's good. So we're talking about season 3. This is where the show really hits its stride. And season 3 and 4 are some of my all-time favorite seasons of this entire show, and they're so good. Sort of cap off where we left off. Season 2 ends, of course, with the wedding of the Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend. We get the whole bit of the guild. We get to deal with the David Bowie, and we see the destruction of the Monarch's cocoon base. The whole thing falls apart. And yeah, season 3, it's really great. We get to see more of the world and the lore of this crazy universe that these guys have designed. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So I guess we'll start off. We're going to pick 2 episodes that all of us have picked 2 episodes out of season 3 that we consider to be our favorite or ones that we liked or that we want to talk about. So I'm going to give it off to you, Hudson. What was your first episode for season 3?
The Doctor is Sin, episode, I believe it's episode 2 of season 3, though I'm sure Cap will tell me what episode it actually is in the notes.
Oh yeah. So it is, let's see, overall episode 28. And that is episode that is episode season 3, episode 2. Yeah. So that is the correct order.
Perfect. Right. Yes. So this episode shows Rusty trying and failing to woo the military-industrial complex into buying some of his crap. And Henry Killinger makes his return appearance as sort of a consultant. He... excuse me. He gets venture.
He's an executive motivational coach and a business consultant.
Yes, and he's also very good at. He's also very good at negotiations. He's able to get the various unions that have been striking against Rusty to come to the table. And, yeah, it's all an elaborate plot by Killinger to get Rusty to become a supervillain. He even stocks Venture Industries with released criminals in a work furlough program called Venchmen, which is just really clever.
He gives Dr. Venture a whole new costume. Which kind of looks like there's a Batman villain who's
he kind of looks like Captain Cold.
A cold gun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he looks like Captain Cold from
he's got the
Flash.
Yeah. Oh, it is the Flash. There we go.
Yeah.
Seemed like a B Squad Batman guy.
Yeah, no.
Although I guess he's already got Mr. Freeze. So
yeah, he's from the supervillain group, the Rogues, and he's
no one gives a shit about the Flash.
Hey, hey.
Do you?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, you give a shit about the Flash.
Yes, I do.
Okay, that's one. We got one.
We got one, folks. Everybody's got one.
Just one.
Killinger not only helps rebuild Rusty's confidence when it comes to super science, he also has him go through like a weird Star Wars Yoda / Freudian path of self-discovery to kill
he makes
his own
him go
father.
on makes him go on a magical spirit quest to discover the roots of his self-doubt, his self-loathing, dilly-dallying, stinking thinking, and fear of success.
Killinger also becomes Jonas Venture's penis for like 2 seconds.
He does that. He absolutely that's a thing that occurs. In the unedited episode, for those who have not seen the series except maybe on television, or if you get the censored versions, these were animated. Whenever there is nudity, the nudity was animated in. So there's a scene where Jonas Venture, where Rusty is regressing to childhood in this vision quest or whatever, and he's recalling a time when he was a young boy eating breakfast, and his father was having one of his
liaisons,
sex parties. yeah, one of his liaisons. His dad walks into the kitchen wearing nothing but boxers, and his dad's dick is just hanging out the front door. So he's just talking about, he asks a couple questions. Rusty talks about his favorite cereals. Apple Mummy, by the way, is his favorite. It's what he
prefers.
And Jonas just walks right up to him. Rusty turns his head, and he has like full-grown man dick 6 inches away from his face, and it's where Henry Killinger says that his feelings of inadequacy began, and his father turned from protector into tormentor rival. So, but it is a fully animated dick. It is a fully animated dick.
It's a fully animated dick. There's a lot of that in the later seasons, because if you watch this uncensored, which you easily can if you go look it up or torrent it, or
and you
have
should.
the DVD, and you should. Not to say that you should be going around watching animated dick, but no, it does sell it where it's just like, yes, this is what the feelings of inadequacy began, because it's just like young preteen, Rusty Venture dealing with the fact his dad has just been a total shithead, and has clearly been the source of his inability to live up to the family name. Because I mean, we see this in every single episode. Like even in season 1, you have the diet pills trying to suppress the whole Jonas Jr. tumor inside of him, the dreams he's been having, and he knocks his head out on Gargantua 1, and he has like the conversation with like the 12-foot mental image of his father about like what the problem with the space station is, which of course the problem light pays off way later in the series. Which is arguably one of the
problem.
The problem. Arguably one of the coolest kind of like retcons in the entire series about what that's for.
Yeah, it's full season 7.
Yeah, it's a full season 7 retcon, and it's still really good. But yeah, I mean, this is really cool because it does show you sort of like the world and the intricate bureaucracy of the Guild of Calamitous Intent, the slight reference, of course, to the investors, and of course, like how close and how borderline it could be for Rusty to be a bad guy. And of course,
the relationship,
he opts not to.
Right, the relationship between the opening scene of this episode is Rusty on the phone with Jonas Jr.
Oh yeah.
Like being like really passive aggressive about this meeting he has with Colonel Man-Hours, who is
Hey,
going
he's a
to
General
Man-Hours. Sorry, yeah, it's General Man-Hours and General Tracer
and Colonel Gathers.
Colonel Hunter Gathers, who ought to run the entire show. Yeah, so. And Jonas is completely nonplussed. He is just like, oh yeah, let him know I have all those orders coming immediately. We're ahead of schedule even. And then Rusty has to create this like Potemkin village because he doesn't have staff. The pre-credit opening of this show is Rusty pulling up in a flying car to a bunch of day laborers and trying to get a bunch of like illegals. Just like asking, which one of you is a nuclear technician? Are any of you, have any of you worked on super fuels with ventrilium handling experience? And of course he finds,
and there's a great gag where one of them
the guys, the one guy has super fuel handling experience, but not ventrilium specifically, so he can't do it.
And then there's he flies past JJ's billboard for the J-Pod, very reminiscent of those early 2000s iPod commercials.
Yes,
where it's just the silhouette and he's dancing with the iPod.
Those
were great commercials.
Oh, yeah, terrific!
And would have been on television when this.
When
this show aired.
There was also a reference to Fruitopia when General Man-Hours leaves, which had been like out of circulation well before the show even started in like 2003. Fruitopia was like a drink made by Coca-Cola that
died in 2003.
I dearly miss it. It was delicious.
It was really good.
What about Sobe? How do you feel about lizard milk?
Never actually had that.
I don't miss it.
It's basically Fruitopia, but they had a pina colada one that looked like milk and was.
I miss when Snapple did their shit in glass.
Yeah,
I was at a vending machine the other day and I saw Snapple and I got really excited and I put my change in and then all of a sudden this plastic fake glass looking bottle came out and I was so disappointed. I didn't even drink it
again.
I didn't even drink it.
True.
I just left it inside there. I was like my $1.50 is wasted, but someone will have this microplastic Snapple.
Yeah.
But could you imagine, say Doc, from like Back to the Future, he's got the DeLorean and he's just like, you Mexicans outside of Home Depot, I need you now.
I mean, he could have done that.
He went like one step beyond and he got a bunch of Libyans and their nuclear secrets.
They found me. I don't know how they found me, but they found me. So the Potemkin village doesn't work. Man-Hours leaves, and and this is where there's an excellent callback also in season 7 to this episode, because Brock kills the Sri Lankan devil bird as he is trying to become the new arch for Dr. Venture.
He's dressed up as the Hindu.
As he's dressed up as like a Sikh guy, and Nimrata Haley foreshadowed. Yes. And Sri Lankan devil bird later comes back because he's used as a disguise by shore leave. But let's see here. It doesn't work. Man-Hours leaves. He's like, this is all shit that your dad had. It's amazing that it all works. Thanks for the Fruitopia. And he fucks off. Dr. Henry Killinger descends from the clouds like evil Mary Poppins as he does. And then, you get a montage of basically improvements to the overall thing. Ultimately, when Dr. Venture realizes that the pitch here is that he joins the Guild of Calamitous Intent, and Arch is his brother. He pulls back. He finally pulls back. And it's because despite his like many resentments and his and his failures, he still has like this. He's a person who is in conflict, who is internally conflicted, and he has moral standards. And he tries to be a good person, but he is deeply, deeply flawed and conflicted. And so he doesn't do it. And he takes struggle. He takes his struggling business, and he takes sort of the world and the people that he knows, and the loyalty of this brother who is frankly brand new to him, right? Over the like clear success and the path that has basically been handed to him with a bow on it, by Killinger, because it conflicts with his morals.
It's interesting because I wonder what that would have looked like with the Monarch if Rusty became a villain. Would you see the Monarch then become a hero just to spite Rusty?
Almost certainly. The Monarch is
that would have been cool. They should have ran with that for at least one episode.
It would have been I see where you're going with that, and I see that it would be like totally in it would be totally in character for the Monarch to, since he's he's an artist of hatred, like that he would do whatever it took to be opposite Rusty. So I totally agree with that, but I think that it is good that they did it the way they did, because it's one of the like really, I guess, brave and courageous things that Dr. Venture did, right? Because it does show a lot of integrity, which is not a thing that he gets a chance to have very frequently.
And there's a really good part where he asks Brock if he's a bad person, and he gives the most like non-committal sort of maybe answer.
Well, and the answer is yes and no. Like, is he an evil person? No. Is he a low quality person?
Yeah.
Yes. Like, that's just how it is, right?
And then it's also a great scene because we get to just everything that Killinger offers him is taken from him. So as soon as he leaves, the rest of the gang and Brock is just like, Doc, what the hell happened to you? Because it's just this like
he's standing
disheveled,
there
naked man. Yeah. And again, another thing that you would see in the uncensored version is an animated flaccid dick. And just this like impotent, pathetic man asking, just this giant Greek god looking dude if he's a bad person. And it all fits rather well because the one thing that Rusty's got going for him is this messed up sense of morality of what's good or what is to be doing the right thing. Because he doesn't want to be evil. It's the one thing he's got going for him is that he's the son of, Thaddeus Venture, or Jonas Venture, I should say. And that's all he's got, right? And of course, like Jonas Jr., of course, is the tumor that came out of him that is the pinnacle of his father's success. So his father, Shadow, still towers over him, despite the fact it's towering over him in the form of a midget tumor.
It's definitely a good villain origin story.
Oh, it's a perfect villain origin story, just because it's exactly what Killinger says. It's the essential, I have a rival. I have been taken, my father's greatness has been taken from me by a literal tumor. I am going to do what is necessary to end and get my father's legacy rightfully
Reclaim your birthright.
Exactly, right. Reclaim your birthright. And so, yeah, it's a great episode, and Dr. Henry Killinger is such a damn classic. Cap and I play a lot of video games together when we're not always on the Friday night live streams on the channel, but one of the common reoccurrences is just Cap and I doing German accents at each other when things get bad. And so Dr. Killinger has made a numerous appearances in our
True,
various times
true.
playing
Your
games.
powers have do not work on me, you silly Billy.
Yes,
It's
you have
so
powers,
true.
yeah, silly bitty.
So we've
Teach
knocked out. We've knocked out. So we've
This
knocked
man
out your
betrayed your
episodes.
father. Show him the meaning of loyalty.
Yes. Killinger was actually teaching Dean good science, like he was tutoring him. So he was doing the things that Dean wanted to do. Like he was nurturing Dean's ambitions. And for Hank, he was doing more physical tutoring. So he for all appearances, Killinger had Hank kill one of the Venchmen.
Well,
who
he's
had
got a
betrayed them.
degree in child psychology, so
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
know.
whatever.
But from the book itself, the art book, the Go Team Venture, the art making of the Venture Brothers, Doc Hammer says, we were smoking on the balcony at Dragon Con right before we started writing these, so I'm acrophobic, so a balcony's like a horrible fucking experience, and I was cramped in the corner. Jackson, of course, was standing over the edge. While we were discussing Killinger, I thought there was no purpose in Killinger ever coming back, but Jackson thought more could be done. It smelled like Bud Manstrong to me, but unlike Bud Manstrong, Killinger has a very strong agenda in that he's the evil Mary Poppins. He shows up and fixes things for evil, and I thought, you can probably do something with that, but I'm not going to fucking touch it. Jackson Public says, I think Killinger is a force that promotes balance in the world. He's there to help people become the best fit version of themselves. In the bigger picture, he believes in the balance of good forces and bad forces. It's all moral relativism, but bad guys aren't necessarily evil. They're just really passionate on the other side.
I love my job.
It becomes a proud papa. Yes.
He just has the best lines.
He has the best lines. He is an idealized version of Kissinger, in many ways.
Well, he's a lot like Kissinger, but
he is a lot like Kissinger.
Balance of power,
somehow less evil.
Passionate, somehow less evil. Well, because Dr. Henry Killinger kills fake animated people and not real people, but
Henry Killinger's never even been to Vietnam.
Yeah, it's so true. But Doc Hammer also writes in the book, this is another episode where we've employed our post-production genital box. We've never found a way to put that stupid thing in. Sometimes it's a box, sometimes there's a drop shadow. Every once in a while we try a mosaic, but in animation, characters don't really do that. So when you put a mosaic on a real person, it's blurry because the person is shifting ever so slightly. On cartoons, sometimes the mosaic looks more like genitals than what was originally there. It has this blocky look, exactly like a big square penis and two square balls. Why can't we show these things? It's two lines. It's ludicrous. I don't see what happens when people see genitals. I don't know who will freak out and start furiously masturbating or deny the existence of God. Ours are so crudely drawn and rendered that there's no way anybody would care. There are children in school drawings on their binders that have a better grip on how genitals look than what's even on the show. Eventually, I started explicitly saying in my scripts, do not show genitals. I did not want to block them anymore. Animators are like children. You just say that a guy is naked. You don't expect for a second that it's going to be anything more than an above the waist shot. Nope, the whole thing. Season 3 was the year of male genitals. It wasn't something we talked about. It's just happened. And Jackson Public quips, of course, it comes straight from our real lives. There's nothing more frightening as seeing as your father's impossibly huge dick when you're a little kid.
The craziest thing about the scene with Jonas, with Jonas's dick out, is that it gets way too many frames. It is very smoothly animated. It is unreasonable that the Korean animators spent so much time on that dick.
Are you saying it made you uncomfortable?
I'm saying that versus how many frames, like if someone watches it, if someone goes and watches it, they're going to immediately note how many more frames that dick has than any other part of the animation in this episode.
Quick poll for the panel. Do you think the Korean animators spent more time on Jonas Sr.'s dick or Michelangelo on David's?
Michelangelo and David's easy.
Oh
Are
yeah,
you sure?
that's just true.
Also, so in the DVD commentary on this episode, apparently they had to redo a whole lot of the episode because this season there were apparently a lot of animation issues because the Western animation is done on the 2s and anime is done on the 3s. And a lot of scenes, depending on who had animated, depending on like what specific Korean had handled it, a lot of them were animated on 3s, and some of them actually made it into this episode. So if
Can you explain for the kids at home what animating on 2s and 3s means?
It just means that the number of frames in between like pieces of movement are different. And so that's why if you watch anime versus Western animation, it feels different. Like the texture of the movement is different, and it's because there are more frames in Western animation. So, yeah, there are a couple scenes, especially when people are walking in and out of the control room, where if you're looking for it, you can see that they have that like, weird sort of after imagey anime movement. So
The more you know.
There's also a good reference. There's a good Pete and Billy bit in this episode where Killinger does a hostile takeover of their company, and Billy doesn't know that Pete issued stock so that they could buy a Nintendo Wii.
I also actually that part of the scene, I think that was a poorly written scene, and the reason is so. Pete issued stock certificates, and the stock certificate, if you've never seen a stock certificate, they're usually like very elaborately drawn. Like they look like currency, but they would have iconography on them, like representing the business of the company and things like that. So he has Billy drawn as like a griffin or something. And Billy says, "Why are you a minotaur?"
Centaur.
And he says, "Centaur." But Billy would know the difference. Anyone would know the difference between a minotaur and a centaur looking at it, especially Billy, because he's a quiz boy, right?
I feel like there's some sort of like Greek myth joke there that I'm just not putting together.
I mean, maybe there is, but I just think Billy would have known the difference.
Well, yeah, that is the worst nitpick because it's otherwise a
huge
really
nitpick.
good joke that they issued stock to buy a Nintendo Wii.
Yes.
Also, your fellow co-host Gabe Cap would really like this episode just because when Dr. Orpheus hears the terms of the deal with Killinger, he calls it a Faustian bargain.
Yes, truly the most Spenglerian.
Which way, Venture Man?
Yes, the most Spenglerian episode of the Venture Brothers so far.
It also has a lot of dick in it. What does that say?
Gabe would love it.
Be all over it.
Yeah.
Also, there's a great Lex Luthor reference.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Conjectural technologies. That's the stock.
Yeah.
That's their
Conjectural technologies. Yeah.
That's a great name for a show. So wow, we knocked out like 2 episodes for you guys because you both picked this one. So this is great. The episodes that I picked were going to be Shadow Man 9, In the Cradle of Destiny, and Home is Where the Hate Is. So, Shadow Man 9 in the Cradle of Destiny is the first episode of the season. It takes place literally right after the end of season 2. We get sort of the quote unquote consummation of Monarch and Doctor misses the Monarch girlfriend. Their marriage, and of course, we are introduced to the Council of 13 of the Guild of Calamitous Intent, and there are so many great sort of inside jokes and references about like the use of flashback as a storytelling device because the guild has all of this like last 20 years worth of footage in high quality and high definition about the previous life of Dr. Girlfriend and the Monarch, that the Monarch used to be a henchman for the Phantom Limb, and that Dr. Girlfriend, Sheila, has always struggled with her own supervillain identity and became sort of the villainess to Phantom Limb in the past. And also, we get to see that 24 and the Monarch used to work in the same sort of henching kind of gig. They both worked for Phantom Limb, and he promises him to be his number two when the time comes to be a supervillain, which never happens. He's still 24, even working with the
his number never changed.
The number never changed.
One of the best lines in this season is when 21 goes up to the Monarch and he says something about 24, and the Monarch goes, 24? Who's that? He's like, who is that? You know the guy whenever I talk to you, he's standing right next to me? Yeah, that's 24. Oh, you mean the one that sounds like Ray Romano?
Yes.
So also this is the first time that we kind of get to see outlines of the Council of 13 and some eventual characters that are going to be in there. So, they're not as fully fleshed out as the characters that we're going to see later in the show. And according to the art book, all of their silhouettes are reuses of other characters that we've silhouetted out and maybe added some stuff to. We didn't know how much we were going to be using these things. They were just head to fill in an episode that one of us had written. And then we had contests to decide what they would look like. Then Data, of course, is still there, but he's the Eugene Shadow model turned into a silhouette with a goofy robot helmet. Boy, oh boy, does that character come back later.
Yep.
But these guys were not designed fully ahead for what they were going to be. But this
of course also Dragoon and
Red Mantle.
Red Mantle.
Yeah, they're separate characters. They're not yet two guys with one head or one body. I mean, two heads on one body.
Yeah.
I like the idea that they had to edit some of the footage because they couldn't get the rights to a Bjork song that the Monarch was having sex with Dr. Girlfriend to.
Oh, I liked it when the Monarch calls them out for that. He's like, "What was that? Like a flash fade away or whatever?" He's like, "I got Adobe Premiere. I thought it would look cool." And
I thought you would like that because
I thought you would like that.
You would like that.
So it's really great for me just to enjoy like the sort of meta humor of flashback as a storytelling device in TV and in film, but also it's our first reel alongside the 2-part season finale to season 2 about understanding the guild better, because you have to play this world while it's incredibly humorous and making fun of everything. It's also played completely straight. That supervillains and superheroes exist, but there's just a mountain of paperwork, bureaucracy, and untold billions of dollars in shell companies that make your desire to be a supervillain possible. They all work in these like lucrative career fields of super science, and of course we get to see the Phantom Limb and a younger Dr. Girlfriend.
We also get the murderous Moppets.
Yes, the murderous Moppets, my least favorite inventions of these two. Everyone hates the Moppets. I hate them so much.
If they weren't so overused, like I don't hate them as much as most fans do, though they are annoying and creepy. I think if they would have just been used here and then in one other episode that I'm thinking of, they would have been fine. But
also, James Urbaniak is not really in this episode a lot as a voice actor. This episode is almost entirely Jackson and Doc,
which is also
and it shows.
So this was the season premiere, but they actually wrote, I think, The Doctor is Sin first, and they were debating which one to have as the season premiere.
Yep.
If memory serves correctly.
But they had to do it this way because they wanted to finish out. So the last season ended with Dr. Mrs. the Monarch saying Monarch and then it cuts. Oh, and then there's a pause. The camera backs way out of the room, so it's not even in the cocoon, and it's just a shot from far away, and you hear the Monarch say, "What?" And then it's the end of the season. So
thankfully, they don't go forward with the pregnancy story. And according to the art book, Doc Hammer really did. This is the only time I've ever put my foot down on a character arc or idea, because he called it a, quote, stupid fucking idea. And so they wrote it off as miscommunication, because if she gets pregnant, either A, she looks like a negligent mom, like we see in every other TV show character where they become a parent, or she's completely written out of the story that they want to write. So I'm very glad that they didn't, because Dr. Girlfriend or Dr. Mrs. the Monarch is a great character. And I'm really glad with what they do with her later on in the show.
The last in the comment, so in the art book, they basically don't say what she said. It's not super confirmed, but in the commentary for this episode, basically they agreed that the most reasonable thing that she could have said is, "I applied to the guild as a duo," which is because that's exactly what they're doing this episode. It's sort of trial of the Monarch, looking at their past, making sure that the Monarch isn't going to get executed for arching without a license, and then or knowingly arching without a license, and then they get their duo-ship approved. So
this whole season has so many good bits.
It really does.
And I'm just thinking about also Dr. Dugong. I don't know if we'll mention that episode.
It's not one of mine.
It's not one of mine.
Not one of mine either.
Dr. Douglas Ong, Dr. Dugong.
I have cuttlefish.
Surrender your cuttlefish. Give me the cuttlefish.
Now give us the key or the thing or whatever.
Or whatever you have, yeah.
I have a tank full of benign cuttlefish.
Dr. Dugong was foreshadowed in the previous season in an arching book that
it's true.
How much formaldehyde did your
the Monarch was looking through?
Also, this is of course, this is with the destruction of the cocoon. So this means the destruction of the Monarch Mobile and 24's stanza.
Well, yeah, I mean the Monarch Mobile did get reconstructed, and so did the cocoon. At the beginning of this episode is Tim, Tom, and Kevin, the murderous Moppets, sort of asserting dominance over all of the henchmen.
Because numbers, henchmen number 2 through 12 have all been killed.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're just going to run this place. And they're just the worst fucking characters. And I just hate them so much. They're written to be hated. They're awful. They're murderous. They have no problem stabbing you to death. I think 24 gets stabbed by one of them.
Yeah, he gets stabbed in the gut.
Yep, stabbed in the gut, which plays.
He's also wearing goggles, and he gets a cigarette thrown in his eye, and somehow it hurts.
Yeah, and of course they're so ready to kill because they rebuild it. They dump Gatorade on the Moppets, they just won the Super Bowl, and then these two fuckers just get stabbed to death while everyone's like, "Whoa!" Because of course 21 and 24, this is a great B plot. It's just they're trying to kill the Moppets. And they're like, well, these guys have killed everyone that we know. And it's like, well, we know someone who could kill them. And they call Brock Sampson.
Yeah.
And of course, it does not go well because Brock Sampson recruits a team to go rebuild the monarch nest, and it all works out.
Yeah, you get a big parade of the B squad of a bunch of like random background characters that have been seen in a few things, and you see some of them again in the future. But
I wish they did more with Trucules.
Good old Trucules.
Sea Anemone is in it. Plug Face Guy, Notorious Headface, Manaconda,
Mommy
Luchador in
Longlegs.
There was
Mommy Long. There's so many good.
Otaku Sensori.
Was he
There's
in there?
so many good
I know there were
ones.
ninjas.
Yeah, no, he's in there.
Chairman Wow was in there.
Excellent.
So good.
Yeah.
His first appearance is in the yard sale episode as a background character. So good. Like, if they've got a side character or something they've animated, by God, they're gonna reuse it, and it might just turn into one of your favorite characters. You never know.
A shocking amount of that is accidental or was accidental. Like, they just decided they liked the look of a background character that had been drawn by one of the like supporting animators, and then just made up a bunch of shit for them.
Many such cases.
I mean, that's how St. Cloud got his big break.
So
he's a completely different voice. What was it? Season 1 was the yard sale.
Yeah, it was the yard sale.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's my first of 2 episodes. So I'm gonna go to Cap this time. Cap, what was your second episode of season 3?
Well, my second episode was the first of the 3-part closer for the season. So if one of you guys have one of the earlier episodes, it might make more sense to do it that way.
Okay. Hudson, what about you? What was your second?
I've got the buddy system.
Great.
Oh, great. Well, we'll just go with the buddy system. Let's go with that.
Yeah, so Rusty... So the buddy system is what? Episode 5? Yeah.
Yep.
So the buddy system is an episode in which Rusty has a soulless cash grab boy adventure like day camp type thing. It's awesome. All these kids are running around thinking that they're going to be Rusty Venture. Billy even like insults one of the kids, telling him he's going to be a quiz boy when he grows up. And one of the kids dies, so Rusty has to clone him before his parents get back and pick him up.
And they give him this half-formed clone plug that's mostly amniotic fluid and stem cells. Just this like dripping, sort of malformed child-size figure. We also meet. You guys might hate the murderous Muppets. I think I hate Dermot more. No, I hate the Muppets more. No, Dermot is kind of a deep cut on everyone's childhood, because I feel like everyone knew a guy like that when they were growing up.
I don't know. I just
disagree.
I didn't know anybody like that. I really.
Oh, you were that guy. That's what that means.
Probably. I mean, I had my nunchucks in my sweet van, and I knew karate, and my dad was special forces.
Yep. It was you.
Yeah. No, totally. No. So Dermot goes meets Hank and Dean for the first time. They're kind of hanging out. Hank has never been around another teenager before, so he starts, doing. He starts copying everything that Dermot's doing, trying to be cool around him. Dean is such a sensitive young man that he can't deal with how sort of rude and crude Dermot is. One of my favorite scenes is when he ends up actually kicking the shit out of Dermot for Triana's honor. Maybe this is the episode we should show Gabe.
There's so many episodes to show. Gabe needs to watch the whole show.
We'll strap Gabe to a chair.
Yeah, we'll Clockwork Orange him.
Yeah, and every time he looks away, we're just going to show him the Fallout TV show.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, no, we'll strap him down. We'll get some some things to force his eyes
we'll just
open.
recruit. Also, if he looks away, we'll just recruit like a 5'6" man to like just stand in the shadows smoking a cigarette and just simply saying it just works every time he looks away. It'll be perfect.
Yeah. and if he tries to look away, he'll just get another bout of chlamydia.
Oh God.
Oh God.
I don't fuck around.
Getting a bout of chlamydia every payday is got to be rough. Poor guy.
It's tough. It's tough working in construction, living check to check that you got to spend at the family clinic. But good God, that's awful.
Cutting
Anyway,
check to check is even worse.
So
did you say I like the line where they're sitting in the like little ride around train or little bus. They're like, when are we gonna see Rusty?
The people mover?
Yeah, the people mover. I don't have words today. I've used all my words, so you're getting the 5-cent words out of my vocabulary this evening. But no, he's just like, when do we get to see Rusty? And he's like, I'm Rusty. Why don't you kids get about that? And every kid looks at him with like utter disappointment. Like, what the hell happened to you? And he's got that great cope. He's just like, what? I left Neverland so I could marry Wendy. What do you think happened? And it's just like, I don't know, man. Your life looks like it sucks.
Yeah.
Never meet your heroes is what we're being told.
No, definitely never meet your heroes. The Monarch sends the Moppets, and this is the only episode I think they should also be in. This is the one I was alluding to. He sends the Moppets to spy on them. Frosty just thinks that they're children, and he's charging them like $8 for a bag of combos.
It's a complete
he's
grip.
nickel and diming these children. Dermot. So my favorite part of this episode is probably when Brock is trying to give a judo demonstration. Dermot is being an asshole, and Brock just wants to kill him, but he can't hurt a kid, so he tries to get one of the kids to do it, or tries to get the Moppets to do it. And they just go all psycho talking about knives. And then at the end of the episode, Dean, in order to defend Triana, he just starts wailing on Dermot, crying the whole time, calling him rude and telling him he's not nice. And
you are very rude.
Yes. And Brock is just loving it. And
Rusty tries to get them off, and he's just like, "Oh, they're kids. They're kids. Just let them. Let them work it out.
Boys will be boys." You know?
That is such a good Brock. That is you sound just like him.
That is one of the best compliments I've ever received.
That is
Patrick Warburton is a guy.
He will take that compliment to his grave.
Absolutely, that will be on my tombstone.
Once did a good
Brock Samson impression.
I've got one piece of my Seinfeld animated series locked down. Perfect.
Great.
There you go.
Right. I just need to get all the other pieces together.
I'm putting that hardworking AI out of.
I'm putting a team together.
So yeah, Johnny Quest isn't a thing anymore because it's Action Johnny now.
Action Johnny.
I'm not really clear on why they couldn't say Johnny Quest anymore.
I think it's because they made him a character.
Yeah.
Oh, they actually, but Hanna-Barbera owns.
I think it was. I think they were trying, because Action Johnny gets brought up. I think even in like season 1, maybe season 2. He definitely gets brought up in season 2 with the Galactic Inquisitor episode, right? Because he has to steal the part. So I think at that point they were trying to not be so overt and direct with their references.
Yeah.
So then, Action Johnny just, he was popular enough where they weren't going to make him Johnny Quest again, which I think really works.
I don't think you can make a parody anymore when you outright draw a middle-aged or like mid-50s like druggy Johnny Quest. Doc
you
Hammer
love your serum more than me.
So Doc Hammer says this episode was the moment they wouldn't let us say Johnny Quest anymore. It had gone from being a parody of him being a character. So now he's called Action Johnny now. He's supposed to be a different guy, but clearly inspired by Johnny Quest. A lot of people wanted Doc to be Johnny Quest, and he's not. He's part of the world where there's a lineage of boy adventurers, and he was one of them. It's also the first time we wrote Dr. Z, who was inspired by Zin, Z-I-N, not your favorite nicotine pouch. Jackson Public says, Dr. Z is one of my favorite voices to do. He didn't have many lines in this, but I remember trying to get an Asian villain accent, but he had the way of coming out as an aging Jewish show business veteran.
He's incredibly hard to do because you want to go like, can I throw scorpions at him? Can I shoot lasers at him? It's like he's not that exaggerated.
Yeah, no, he has to be sped up just enough while still having like some Chinaman in there.
Exactly. It's like he's like Yul Brynner. Like this guy, he's mixed. He's a Asian Aryanist. There we go.
Your people would be nothing without my David.
Oh my!
Sorry,
it's good.
I've been listening to a lot of Opie and Anthony, and they did the Independence Day thing, so that line's been stuck in my head for forever.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. So there's also the Triad have a safety brief about the dangers of radon and smoke and smoke alarms, and Al doesn't get to do his song.
Because none of the kids want to listen to a home safety PSA.
No one.
Yep.
You know who does need to listen to a home safety PSA? Section
Rusty.
8 housing.
I really wish that we had a soundboard for a ceiling bird.
I was about to say maybe in post. I'll edit one in.
We'll get.
Who am I
Mike
kidding? I never edit in post.
We'll get Mike of Pole to come in here and do that. Or maybe,
you know what, the ceiling bird was not working on the soundboard this evening.
No,
we are recording this on a Wednesday. But
yes, because what do you and Mike do on a Wednesday?
Well, we're just gonna shill in the middle.
Yeah, we're just gonna chill in the middle. I'm curious, what do you do on Wednesday that you keep inviting me to do, which I never can do because it's
of course
during church.
Well,
you're not missing anything for
those of us who are not at church. On Wednesday evenings, we'll perform on or merely endure Drive Time Movie Night with Cap and Mike, where Mike of Pole and I will watch we'll get a guest on, like our friend T.R. Hudson here, who has been on. Sorry, condolences.
I mean, I had a really good time.
Yeah. And
so wait, you're saying that the ceiling bird it didn't work? He has it on a soundboard? I know why
the ceiling bird chirps. Yeah, we have a soundboard. So we watch a crappy movie. And we watch a crappy movie. And, Mike has a soundboard. We make fun of it. Mike usually has a mini game that I and our guest are forced to play against. And then the loser has to post Cole. Those are the rules.
Wait, did you lose tonight? Did you post Cole?
I did not. Pill Eater lost.
Oh,
and
where's the Cole?
So is this like Impractical Jokers, where like Sal's the biggest loser, so he's got to like post Cole on the timeline?
Yeah, it's like a mix of mystery. Science.
I don't know what Biggest Losers is. It is a little MST3K, but there's the additional level. There's the additional level of two of the people are being subjected to a trivia or some other sort of rough game based on the theme of the episode or the film, whatever it is. So,
okay, well there you go.
Yeah, and there are no winners. There are only losers. There's only a bigger loser. Right? There you go.
There you go. It's so true. Also, this is where Dr. Mrs. the Monarch has a new outfit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I love the art. I love the art book because the notes for it are great. These were just explorations of a monarch themed costume for the married doctor girlfriend before we started writing. I was just messing around on that yellow post-it note on the left that Doc is drawing over my sketch. The final design was pretty much what Doc had from some of my notes. I like some of the notes. Shorter, longer hairline, and then in quotation marks, you just gave me a semi.
Nice.
The top is based off in an American Apparel outfit. Oh god, you remember American Apparel when like you'd walk into the mall and it had the like very good looking white people in cardboard right before you entered in, and then you had to walk around this like little. There was like ceremony and ritual to walking into an American Apparel store.
I
don't own anything from American Apparel. I just have this distinct memory of going to malls and seeing the American Apparel Outfitter store.
Another good thing about the Dr. Mrs. the Monarch outfit is that Jackson Public says we wanted something a little sexier. By this point, we were aware of cosplayers, so he was just like, we knew what cosplayers were, and we wanted to see women dress like this, so we created the costume.
Well, it makes sense because they were at Dragon Con writing some of these episodes. That would be a great place to learn about. Oh, you people dress up like sluts, but it's in a TV show or anime costume. It's totally okay.
They engaged in creating hyper reality.
They literally they took the line straight out of Mean Girls, and they were like, "This is the one thing that you can do to look slutty, and no one can judge you." What?
Yeah,
I'm Sailor Moon. You can't judge me.
I also think that you just gave me a semi was maybe a early working of the Monarch's line when he first sees her, where he said, "Come sit on your king's ever expanding throne."
Oh, that's a really good line. You also, so at the end of the episode, Dermot is picked up by his mom, who remains unseen. She asks him how it went, and Dermot reveals that it's assumed to be Brock, but actually, Dermot meets his father, who is Thaddeus Venture, Doc.
Which is not revealed not revealed.
Not revealed in the episode. We're led to believe that it's Brock who is his father.
Yes, because of Dermot's mullet and overall burly carriage.
There's also the post-credit scene where the Moppets try to feel up Dr. Girlfriend or Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, and she gets creeped out by them.
She's like, all right.
They're like really horny pets that just need to be fixed.
My babies!
The characterization of the Moppets is a little like the one level of interest that they have is that they behave kind of like animals. I mean, they want to sleep on a pet bed. They
tell us how you really feel about midgets, Cap.
I think they should all be exterminated.
That's what Brock says kind of in the episode. And then Doc calls him
I'm
Hitler.
starting to think this was a stupid idea. Yeah. Because and like later in this season, they talk about like having sex with stuffed animals. Like
well, if they discovered what furries or cosplayers are, I'm not surprised they haven't discovered what furries were.
I'm kind of pissed that they're killed off screen. You see,
I'm only upset they're killed off screen because I wanted to see them die.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Is that if only like you see so many henchmen, like at the end of the season, even one of the funniest parts is when the Monarch's suit fucks up and he actually decapitates one of his guys by accident when the wings pop out. But we can't watch.
Plus, the opening of season 2 is the mini deaths of Hank and Dean.
Yeah,
You're so used to the humorous deaths, and then like you see someone you really can't stand. You're like, man, I can't wait for you to get what you deserve, and then it doesn't happen.
Even Game of Thrones did that, right? When they killed that one child. No one.
All right, you'll need to. I never watched Game of Thrones.
Oh, you should have. It was a cultural thing.
That no one talks about anymore.
I know. It was like the last thing that everybody watched and then never got brought up again. It was a
No,
water
this
cooler.
is what happens.
Oh,
when
there was
you-
Ollie, the guy who stabs Jon Snow in the heart. And
This is
then,
what happens when
yeah.
you shit the bed on the ending.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole. There's a horrible postmortem for. I mean, I'm sure that it's been done to death, but yeah, there are a lot of postmortems.
Yeah, let me just go check in on
for
Mauler and
Game of
EFAP, and
Thrones.
I'll see the like 20 to
Dear
48
God.
hours worth of Game of Thrones breakdowns. But so this was this was your episode, right? The buddy system.
Yep, this is mine. So next would be either, I guess, yours. and then Cap's is
I'll
the end.
do mine just because we have to wait because Cap picked a part of the season finale. So I picked the wonderful episode "Home is Where the Hate Is." Because one, this is another great look into the Guild of Calamitous Intent, and then this is also our. It's not our real. I mean, it's not the. We've seen him before in other episodes, but this is truly like the big formal introduction to Sergeant Hatred. And I really. It's so hard to even break down Sergeant Hatred.
Oh, there was a good Sergeant Hatred joke in Buddy System where the kids start attacking him, and he's like, "I'm not allowed to be around all these children."
That was supposed to be so. The buddy system was one of the first episodes they wrote. It was supposed to be the introduction for him. Like it was supposed to be the first time you saw him.
Well, he was
No. It was sorry. The first time you saw him henching.
Oh, got
Dr.
it.
Venture.
Because
Yeah.
that was because he was in the.
It is
season-
definitely not in the episode order.
You see him originally in season 2, episode 8.
And Hank asks him. Well, and then there's also the episode, the wedding episode, and Hank is in disguise as Russian Guyevich, and
Yes.
he breaks character for half a second to ask if Hatred is going to molest him.
Right.
So
guess.
let's just go get the cat out of the bag. So Sergeant Hatred is a quote unquote former pedophile. Former. Emphasis on former.
Don't ask how old Princess Tiny Feet is.
And don't ask that he had a really rough past before meeting his wife. So I guess we'll get that out of the way. Sergeant Hatred is actually I hate the fact that he is a well-written, humorous, entertaining character, and he just happens to be a pedophile. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah.
You just get so upset because you're like, this is actually really entertaining, but he's also the most irredeemable human being imaginable. And you're just like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information.
Who was then later redeemed.
Redemption arc for a pedophile. No one else has not been done elsewhere.
That is not a sentence that has ever been said out loud in the English language.
Yes.
So yes, now that the duo ship, villain and villainess, has been accepted, the Monarch is not allowed. He's officially a part of the guild, and all of that paperwork has been done. His arching rights to Dr. Venture has been taken away. And so he is having a real tough time handling this. Whereas our introduction to Sergeant Hatred is like, we get this cool, angry, brought in, and then we find out he's like the nicest guy around. He's like, you're telling me you're not going to like rip my roof open and harass me in the middle of the night? He's like, yeah, that's amateur hour. I'm not going to do that. We're going to have a schedule. You're going to tell me what kind of allergies you have. He even shoots him in the stomach with rubber bullets. And he's got to call the medical. He's a bleeder. He's really fragile. We got to go total nerf on this dude. And and all the villains, including the Monarch, they live in this place called Malice, this nice gated community with an HOA that other supervillains live in. And you're supposed to take this completely straight. But,
yep.
Sergeant Hatred is the real character where we're at here. And this one was written actually towards the end of the season.
There's also there's the part of the episode where Hatred also explains why he's gonna go really easy on Doc, and it's because the Monarch had been stealing his weaponry for years at that point.
which was mentioned in the first season.
Yeah. So another callback is paid off. We meet Princess Tiny. Do we meet Princess Tiny Feet in this episode, or is it?
No,
No.
she's not in this episode. She's not in Home is Where the Hate Is. Princess Tiny Feet isn't in this season at all. She's in the last time you see her is the end of season 2 at the wedding.
Shit, you're right.
Although we are told that she is the one that grows the okra.
Yes.
Because she does. She is
he brings a nice basket of howdy do.
Yeah, which is, he brings a nice basket of okra. We learned that that Brock has a special blend of his own type of grass that, again, I'll say it, lush. It's so good. And he's so he is obsessed with his ex-wife, who she has lives up to her name, very childish feet, and she has a bondage fetish, which is why their relationship is on the rocks. But she doesn't show up until she's there in the wedding, but it's also on the later episode, Self-Medication, which is a season 4 episode, where we learn that she's able to control his urges for children, and he's also got to take pills. But yeah, it's a really entertaining character, and I'm done so dirty because it's like, oh, you're a pedophile.
So there's also there's a housewarming party, or rather, Sergeant Hatred kind of throws a house party. The Monarch's invited, Doc's invited, and there's 2 really good gags in it. Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, because they play like that Guess Who I Am game, right? And Dr. Mrs. the Monarch gets Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
Which she doesn't get, which is perfect because she's designed to be Jackie Kennedy Onassis.
And the Monarch keeps insulting Rusty to his face, to the point where Rusty guesses Socrates, Hitler, and Socrates' son. There's also, I'm a big Dire Straits fan, so the fact that the Monarch has Mark Knopfler on his back, I have to shout that
out. Yeah, Doc Hammer says we also got, this is another episode of just a bunch of dick in it. Sergeant Hatred, the Monarch, and Doc Venture.
Yeah, there's actually I don't think there's
no, it's just Doc. No, it's just Doc.
Doc's balls from the back. It's the worst.
But also, Sergeant Hatred knows that the Monarch's been fucking with him for 10 years now. So by going full Nerf and rubber bullets and being as nice as humanly possible, it's just an extra fuck you. And of course, Sergeant Hatred makes that very clear to him, because there's that scene where they're going through all the equipment, and Monarch is just like, oh, let me guess. Yeah, we get standard blow dart gun. Let me guess. If you press the button, it turns into a grappling hook. And Hatred's just like, listen, I'm arching Dr. Venture, and I'm going to make it the nicest experience of his fucking life just to screw with you.
It's so good.
It's so good.
There's also a Twin Peaks reference in the episode.
There are a lot of Twin Peaks references throughout this series, but yes, there is a Twin Peaks.
I've never seen Twin Peaks. What is the Twin Peaks episode?
You're going to also be strapped to a chair, and I'm going to force you to watch seasons 1 and 2 of Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, and Twin Peaks: The Return. And you don't get a choice. And if you try and look away, David Lynch is going to scream at you and telling you it's fucking Friday again.
What the hell?
It's going to happen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's just going to happen.
I've heard great things, but I've never seen it. So what was the reference in this episode?
In Sergeant Hatred's house, the egoist says that, because Brock Sampson's character is Harry Dean Stanton, the egoist goes, "Oh, I loved Fire Walk with Me."
Yeah,
oh, gotcha.
Which also has David Bowie in it. So now you've got to watch it.
Bowie.
Got to watch the full Bowie catalog, really.
You really do.
I celebrate his entire catalog.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I
Maybe
kind
this
of
was
like
the
the
best
the
of.
art book because it doesn't mention hatred at all with his quote unquote problem.
Problem.
Probably.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, this is a reference to there's like they kind of make side references to Hurricane Katrina because it just happened. And so, you'd always catch him in mid conversation saying things like, I'm watching the news and those poor people are having a hell of a time over there. And, they just think of him as like this really nice, charitable guy. I actually like the animation in this episode. I thought it was really well done. This is where like the style is really definitive, in my opinion. This whole season this is where it's really in its stride. But like, you've got this whole, I almost want to say like Sergeant Hatred is like the perfect like G.I. Joe bad guy. But of course, we get that later with Sphinx and the OSI and everything. There you go. But it's a great episode because again, it's the culmination of more lore and background of the absolute, weird play it for straight, communities of being a bad guy and what that's like. Also, this is where we get to see 21 and Hank, or like the boys are, they're not supposed to be at the house party. And so, I'm not legally allowed to be 50 feet around these boys because, they're 16 going on 17. And so the boys get taken away by 21 and 24. And of course, 24, who got stabbed, recovering in the hospital, is stuck with fucking Dean playing like a nurse clown.
Oh yeah, and he does the Patch Adams
Like
thing.
Patch
Yeah, he does the Patch Adams
which
thing,
is a good reference.
a prescription for smiles.
And then this is the episode where
the Moppets are plotting to kill with gas.
And 21 has the reason that they talk about him 21 being, or 24 being Ray Romano, is because 21 is getting the Monarch to sign a card for 24.
Yeah.
Yep. The and this one they kind of Hank and 21 start to have a legitimate friendship.
Yeah.
Like they've had a few moments as the show has gone on, but this one they actually spend time together.
And if I recall correctly, this is also the episode where Dean does the follow your dreams.
Yes, correct. When he's talking to 24.
Yeah.
Said follow your dreams, even if
it's a giant spider with your father's head and he keeps stealing your penis.
Yes. Tweeted that the other day. People didn't get the reference.
Oh,
good line though.
I saw that and gave you the charity like, even though I knew no one else would know.
The pity like that. I understand the inside joke that no one else is gonna get.
I understood that.
That's all right. It got plenty of likes on its own because it's a great line.
It is a great line.
It is a great line. They keep stealing your penis. Yeah, it's great. So it's just Sergeant Hatred though in the post-credit scene is like, why don't you boys stay while the wife is out of town? And thankfully they leave. But it's just like, so we have this character who's deliberately fucking with the Monarch, but also is a really well-written character in his own right and gets a pretty good redemption arc. I hate the fact I'm saying that, by being like the new bodyguard in the next season, where he has one of my favorite. He has one of my favorite lines of all time in that entire show. He's just like, as your former arch nemesis, I know a thing or two about, guarding the entrance. And as a former pedophile, I know all sorts of things about like kidnapping little boys. And you're just like, I hate how much I'm laughing at this, but also, I don't know. Like, maybe back then I wouldn't have. It's funny still, and it's funny back then. But I'm just thinking to myself, we're recording this on June 5th. It's Pride Month. The pedophiles are having their parades, and it's just like, Sergeant Hatred's out there.
Excellent Pride episode.
Excellent Pride episode, absolutely.
Really progressive stuff. He's a man.
A woman president. Yeah, and she's Hitler. How progressive.
And a Hitler, yeah.
Yeah. So see, it's a progressive time around here on the channel.
My time is running short, so
well, good thing we've got your 2 episodes out of the way then.
Yes.
You're gonna leave us again, TR.
Yep. I know. Many
And
such
then
cases.
I watched what you guys were saying about me after I dropped last time.
Only good things.
Oh yeah,
Of course.
Only good things.
So let's see here. So I guess we only have one left.
Yeah.
And that is, so we can wrap this up here.
Yeah, let's go for it. I'm
so-
surprised that no one picked the episode about like the lore of Billy Quizboy.
that's such a there's
The
too
invisible
many.
hand of fate.
Look, we could literally.
I wanted
do
to
this
pick
on every
Dr.
episode.
Quim, Medicine Woman, like because it's such a good reference to vagina.
I'm just surprised because I know in the chat that we have to organize this, someone wanted to make a nozzle reference that never happened.
God, yeah. I mean, the nozzle is excellent.
All right, if Gabe tries to move, he gets hit by the nozzle.
The nozzle.
There you go.
Do not move while the nozzle is calibrating.
What was that?
The
I have
nozzle.
no idea. Some standard operating thing.
So I will speak on the nozzle before I get to my episode. The nozzle. So Jackson Public and Doc Hammer had intended to build at Astro Base Go, their studio. They had intended on building a vestibule that you had to go into and change into like a clean suit, like one of those 3M paper zip up onesies.
Yeah.
And they would play the nozzle. They would play the nozzle track. So the nozzle initially had been planned to exist in the real world, not in the show. And then they realized that it was completely stupid to want to do that in real life, like just for the LARP that the Astro Base Go is a real moon base. And so they used the joke in the show, which is insane. Like it's I'm so glad that they did it. It's an obvious non sequitur. Or it's a complete non sequitur, not an obvious non sequitur. It's a complete non sequitur. But how often does something like that occur? Probably infrequently.
It's the same. It's the same as like the Galactic Inquisitor gag, where
Right.
it makes no sense. It's super memorable, and thank God they didn't overuse it.
Well, that one pays off though. Like
Yeah,
that one.
It totally pays off.
A few more times, but
even though he hates Jackson Public, fucking hates that joke.
Well, he hates it. He hates when people walk up to him and shout, "Ignore me." Right.
Well, the nozzle also pays off. Not in the same episode, but they use it again in the future, and it doesn't get explained. But I'd say just by it existing in the future, it kind of pays off.
So I now have to make a mental note of all the things that we've said will pay off in the future, so we can call back to them like 3 or 4 weeks from now when we get there. See, there'll be payoffs later. This is why you keep watching.
So this episode
your
is
episode cap.
Operation Rusty's Blanket, right?
That is correct. We're doing
Right.
Orb. So the season finale is the last 3 episodes of the season. The rest of this season you can kind of watch in any order. Certainly, like, you know, if you start with Shadowman 9, you can sort of watch the rest of them in any order, and then you got to watch the last 3 to understand the progression of the overall thing. So in Orb, we see a lot of things. They do a lot. First, you see that like you get the Gilded Age. So you get the grandfather of Rusty, who is Lloyd Venture, and the group that he was in, which was just called the Guild. And it was sort of the precursor organization to both the Guild of Calamitous Intent and the Good Guys, or, you know,
the Office of Secret Intelligence.
Sort of OSI, but that's not as explicit. It's just sort of like the general costume adventuring thing.
Yeah.
you also get, and you get a payoff on Billy Quizboy's fandom, because he has been obsessively watching the Rusty Venture TV show, and
So is it a TV show or a cartoon?
that's a good question. I think it was a TV show because the characters are not on model, because like Colonel Gentleman is blonde, and Jonas doesn't look like Jonas. Kano is black rather than Asian.
Yeah.
Like Rusty doesn't look like Rusty. I mean, they're similar, of course, but they're not one-to-one. So that's what makes me feel like it was live action, like the Rusty Venture show was live action.
There
But
you go.
But maybe maybe it was supposed to be a cartoon in
I just
in
assume it was like a
universe.
Hanna-Barbera cartoon in universe, while at the same time, actual adventures and exploits of Jonas and his team were around. Because clearly we do meet the original, Team Venture. We
Right,
meet
yeah,
them, we
those
see them in
guys
real
were
life
real.
throughout the whole time. This is also the great callback about, Rusty on Kano's shoulders trying to kill somebody with a sniper rifle. There's a lot
Right,
of great
right.
there's a lot of great callbacks, and Billy Quizboy, I think, is, like you said, with his fandom, his nerd knowledge, he really is the, I don't know, like, they really love their nerds.
Yeah, I mean, it's close to a self-insert, right?
As close as you can get, yeah.
And so he decodes, after having watched, all of these things hundreds of times, that there were messages pointing towards some sort of secret treasure. And it is a, sort of X marks the spot treasure map that is located underneath Brock's herb garden in the Venture compound. And so he goes there, gets permission to dig it up. Brock says, absolutely not. I was told to protect that piece of ground. They do it anyway, and they find 2 boxes, one that says Venture Bodyguard and contains a Victor wax cylinder player, and one cylinder and 2 places for a cylinder, so it's missing one of the cylinders. And then another box that contains, God, what did that box contain?
Wasn't it like some kind of Da Vinci Code-esque little puzzle thing?
Yet another, yeah, like yet another cipher of some kind.
Yeah. So
So
you got a great mix of, like, Dan Brown meets Drink Your Ovaltine.
right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was very, very. It would have been hilarious if they could have ended the whole thing with the Drink Your Ovaltine joke.
Yeah.
But Brock plays the wax cylinder, not in the presence of the others, and it's the voice of Eugen Sandow, the inventor of bodybuilding, the first guy in modern times famous for being jacked, basically. And he was a Victorian bodybuilder. And he was the bodyguard of Lloyd Venture, just as Kano was the bodyguard of Jonas Venture, and Brock is the bodyguard of Rusty. So Sandow is explaining that when the Guild of Calamitous Intent formed, and the rest of the guild maintained and later became OSI, it was a fight over this thing called the Orb, which is a device of this it's a sphere with a bunch of brocade patterns on it, and it is expected to be of some immense power. But no one really knows what it does. It's existed since Archimedes and all the great minds, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen shit, right? All of the greatest people you can think of have touched this thing and added something to it. And so it's a world-changing MacGuffin. Aleister Crowley and Nikola Tesla want to steal it. Eugen Sandow, Lloyd Venture, Mark Twain, Phantoma, who is the grandfather of Phantom Limb, who came from a long line of costumed heroes before he became a villain, and Oscar Wilde are sort of the inner circle of the good side.
I mean, it is crazy that you've got Aleister Crowley, Oscar Wilde, and all. It really works.
It does.
It really
Although because Crowley got kicked out and he went and joined the Guild of Calamitous Intent, they should have had William Butler Yeats in there, because Aleister Crowley was kicked out of an esoteric society, the Order of the Golden Dawn, by William Butler Yeats, and then Crowley went on to found the Order of Thelema in the real world.
So the art book makes this kind of work, because like Jackson Pollock says, Aleister Crowley, Eugene Sandow, the real life strongman, Colonel Lloyd Venture, great grandfather of Dr. Venture, Mark Twain, Phantomus, the grandfather of Phantom Limb, Oscar Wilde, the big beautiful gilded Zeppelin. Meanwhile, Doc Hammer. When I pulled together my super team and then Jackson looked at it and said, I don't know who any of these fucking people are, he's the one that convinced me to put the ones that people know, like Oscar Wilde, Sandow, and Aleister Crowley. My original team, and the only one who made it, was Crowley. Jackson was the one who convinced me to put in Mark Twain, who I love, but I thought, why the hell would he have anything to do with the orb?
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, one of the things I do appreciate about the show, and I said it the last time, was just that there is no hand-holding. You either know these references or you don't, and you're going to be left in the dust if you don't know them.
Yeah, for sure. And so, all right. So Lloyd Venture intends to activate the sphere. And it is revealed that Sandow is under orders to kill to kill anyone who is going to activate the sphere, including and especially Lloyd Venture. Similarly, the other Venture bodyguards have received the same order regarding the orb. So, you see a scene where Lloyd goes to activate the orb, and Sandow, you see a close-up on Sandow's face as he cries and is standing behind Lloyd Venture, and you hear a crunching sound. And the implication here, of course, is that he has killed Lloyd Venture, but it is revealed later in the episode that what he did was he permanently broke the orb. So, but they keep it a secret, which is why Jonas's bodyguard had the same order, and Brock was at the time unaware that the orb was also destroyed. Let's see here. Rusty and Billy are still on the trail of the orb. Brock goes to find the other cylinder, where he learns the rest of the story I just told. It was in the possession of Kano, who kept it because at the end of the cylinder, Sandow had a bunch of chocolate recipes, which is funny because in real life, Eugen Sandow went and made a chocolate factory after he became too old to be a professional bodybuilder. So extra deep cut right there.
This is the only time we hear Kano speak as well.
Right, yeah. Because he believes that Brock is there to kill him finally, and his vow of silence is no longer necessary. So, let's see here. When Brock is on his way, I'm getting this a little out of order.
Bottom rocks.
John Bonham rocks. When Brock is on his way to go find Kano, and I apologize for getting it out of order, but when he's on his way to go find Kano, he starts activating to get some more information on Operation Rusty's Blanket, or orders regarding bodyguards, or orb. And so he starts inputting the codes into his car, and blanks on one of the numerous passwords. So while he's looking it up, his car is repeatedly failing his security check, and eventually the car turns on him. It's like it locks him out of his account and starts trying to kill him. And OSI gets told that he has gone rogue for this, and now he is a marked man. He bails out of the car and ends up going to the strip club, which is apparently the closest business to the Venture compound, and meeting Colonel Hunter Gathers, who is working there, having had his pud chopped off and gotten a big, beautiful pair of tits bolted on. Gathers, in some of the best dialogue, some of the best dialogue that Gathers gets. He is having a conversation with him, and he's just like, grab my tits, slaps him as soon as he grabs them. But Brock has pulled a book out of Gathers's bra, and he's like, that's a book of OSI men who've gone off the reservation. They'll help you. And he was like,
and he gives him some
you can take my
cash.
You can take, yeah. Do not ask what I did for those hundreds. And he also says, Brock is like, I'm going to need a car. And he's like, you can take mine, but you are not going to like looking for the keys. And he like fully straddles Brock's face right before it cuts. And it is
it's so weird to think about now in 2024.
Yes. Well, it's June. It
is June. This is the Pride episode, I guess.
Yes.
I might put that in the
Gathers
title.
is stunning and brave for having his dick cut off and then put back on again for
and
his
then
country.
Bolted on pair of tits while he still has his like cigarette and his 5 o'clock shadow and sunglasses.
He wants his dick. He just also wants tits, which makes him.
Which you hear nothing but him missing his breasts and.
I miss my tits. Yes.
Good lord.
AGP confirmed.
Yeah.
Sorry,
not even
Hunter.
Once.
So yeah, eventually Rusty finds after they go down several false starts solving quizzes or solving riddles in order to find it. They find the orb being used as a paperweight in the Frick Gallery, which is a famous museum in New York, or the Frick Collection, famous museum in New York. And Rusty stating some platitudes that were quoted repeatedly on the TV on his show, but were also words actually spoken by his grandfather, which again, this is another time when they show his integrity. He was like, he decides to not activate it, but it was broken anyway, so he could not have activated it.
Which we find out in this 3-part season finale. This is only the beginning, so we really do urge you to just rewatch the show while you do this.
Yeah. And then at the end of this episode, everyone has returned to the Venture compound, and Brock is attacked again by his car, which has been lying in wait for him. And that sets off the chain of events that end the season, where Brock is on the run, and they are being hunted by both the Monarch and OSI, until ultimately there is a climactic battle that ends the season.
And we didn't pick that. None of us picked those episodes, which I find so funny that no one wanted to talk about the finale where all the clones are killed and 24 dies.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess we can talk about the family that slays together stays together parts 1 and 2 if you feel like we should. I feel like we should.
Yeah, sure, we might as
we-
well, just
We just because we did it last time, and it seems like we just shouldn't spend our picks on the finales when they're
well, I mean,
important
this is
for
the thing. I
understanding
didn't want to
subsequent.
cover some of these episodes throughout the entirety of the series. Some of them are throwaway episodes that are just really
Sure.
great, well-written episodes in the same way that for instance, I love the X-Files for the overarching storyline of the original series run of the X-Files. I like the conspiracy. I like the man with the cigarette. I really enjoy the alien human hybrid and the elite kind of making their deal, bargain deal. There's also some really fucking great monster of the week episodes that you just have to watch. And so, in the same way with this show, like there's so much that gets serialized that you have to. And I sound like shit because I'm under the weather, but you really want to appreciate some of the side stuff because like you can watch the family. I mean, like the hate home is where the hate is a good episode, but it also does play into the plot. But you don't have to watch that one to really appreciate the greater storyline that the 3-part finale brings out. So yeah, so we're all over the orb. But then yeah, family that slays together stays together is the second part of our 3-part episode.
Well, Slays Together Stays Together parts 1 and 2. So,
Parts 1 and 2.
yeah,
But
it's
I mean,
really a 3-parter because
it is a 3-parter.
Yeah. So
we meet Shore Leave and Holy Diver. We get the great introduction from Molotov Cocktease about Air Trigger, the
yes, Hail Trigger,
Go Fish, the maritime assassination, and Jean-Claude Latour, who is a sword guy who talks about how great his sword is.
Yeah, he's exactly Kraven the Hunter, but also but also a DC comic book nerd. So yeah
it's great.
it's very good that they kill him. It's very funny that they use it when they use him, but it's very clear they also needed to kill him in this episode because
it's an absolute necessary one-off.
Yeah, so Brock is on the run from Brock is on the run. Assassins have been sent. He believes they are from OSI because Molotov says so. That is a lie. We find out later.
We also learned that from the art book, we learned that Go Fish is a character that has been sitting in.
It's just kind of been in the tank.
Yeah, he's been thinking about using him since working on the Tick.
Brock gets to go through Brock gets a 10 years or something before John Wick came out. He gets to do the best part of John Wick 2. So, which is the assassin versus assassin fights.
Oh, I was about to say I have not seen any of the John Wick movies. So
it's just at one point there's like a hit gets put out and you have all of these lesser assassins going after the John Wick, the greatest killer. So so you have him on the run. You have the family sort of getting carted along for the ride because he has to try to protect them at the same time. Eventually they get taken into police custody and subsequently broken out again by Molotov. She sends the cleaner, which is Mr. Clean, to come in and melt some face. And they are then ambushed again by, I believe it is it the twins, or is it the the Moppets, or is it OSI at that point?
That's a great question. I'm pretty sure it's OSI.
Okay. Yeah, so OSI is still coming for him. And uh and the monarch is attempting to arch this, to pull off the grandest arch ever. So Brock lures both sides um to the venture compound and sort of sets off a battle between them. And you have the monarch's henchmen versus the OSI troopers head to head. It appears, that and it seems like they need to defend the compound. So Hank says that he needs his Christmas presents early, which means he had been told that the clone vats were a Christmas present,
Yeah.
basically. So they got all of the venture all of the Hank and Dean clones wearing Dune underwear, that David Lynch's Dune, like
Yes.
the the underwear that Sting wore, I think, and marching out, and to subsequently get slaughtered by the monarch's death's head panoply, which is an untested sort of action figure kind of
So we're just gonna skip over all of the Holy Diver and Shore Leave.
well, they didn't do anything.
I know, but Shore Leave becomes a huge character later. So you
Well,
get
yeah, okay, so Holy Diver and Shore Leave are in
a
Hunter's.
maritime Christian camp on a boat, which is clearly
Yes.
making fun of Bible Man. This is where Go Fish is. Sorry, I just wanted to mention them because
Yes.
as much
No,
as
it's really funny.
it's really good, and also let's not kid ourselves. We're going to be dealing with Shore Leave for like the rest of the series
Right.
from here
Helmet
on out.
of salvation. Boom. Yummy.
Yeah, clearly a Bible Man reference. Also, we get the great shark decapitation, and then like Brock cites Psalm 140.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Brock
pretty sure
shaves his
it's-
head.
Yeah,
Brock
Brock shaves his
quick
head.
shaves his head.
Quick shaves it. It's a great fight. It's good stuff. Can't
Yeah.
go wrong with it.
Let's see here. And so Shore Leave and Mile High are
Clearly
are very funny.
are very funny and very gay.
Yeah. And they're
Also, we get
yeah.
the Mr. Clean reference, the cleaner. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. Also, I do appreciate how this ends because there is no more clones. It's just the boys.
Well, there are a lot of daring choices that got made at the end of the season because 24 fucking dies.
You don't break up a comedy duo until you have to.
They had because during the arching, Helper had been kidnapped kidnapped and interrogated by the Monarch's crew, and ultimately escaped from his cell, stole the Monarch mobile while 24 and 21 were hiding out in it to avoid getting murdered in a pitched battle with OSI. 21 bails out as soon as Helper starts to drive. Shouts for 24 to get out. 24 can't get his belt buckle undone, and they have this exchange, which is like, "Why did you buckle up? Why would you do that?" He's like, "I don't know," and then he's gone.
He biffs it. His flaming decapitated
Yes.
head lands.
Well,
in-
it's a bit later. Like he's in the battle while he's in the back of the car while Helper's driving around like a madman.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like he does manage to get his belt off.
It's too
And
late.
he's standing next to the car after the battle, where it's it's revealed that OSI was never trying to kill Brock. They were trying to like get back to him because they thought he was in trouble. And it had and he didn't understand what had been set up until then, and he's like, Molotov. So he's
Yeah, it was all set
disgusted.
up by Molotov cocktails.
Yeah, so he was disgusted, and he's like, Monarch, I'm taking your fucking car.
Yeah, I know.
Starts walking towards it,
and it blows up.
and it explodes, and then
24 severed head.
24 severed head lands in the hands of 21. Brock is thrown and passes out. And
it's kind of a fake death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he goes through some extensive surgery. Is the surgery in this?
No, it is the beginning of season 4.
It's the beginning of season 4. But
we are also introduced to General Treister.
Yes, we finally see General Treister,
who is referenced in season 1 by the guy who's doing the secret agent licensing. General Treister is my father. He spoke of you as if you were a god. You did not disappoint.
Treister is amazing. Is an amazing character who plays a much larger role in season 4.
Yes,
he is a larger than life sort of good old boy. He's sort of Teddy Roosevelt meets Nick Fury, which is funny because there's another Nick Fury based character in the show, Hunter Gathers. And he and Hunter,
but he's also the Hulk.
Well, you don't find that out until much later, anyway.
Yeah, I know, but he's great.
He's got a like massive pacemaker and suffers constant heart attacks, but doesn't care because his joie de vivre is off the fucking charts.
Yeah, and we later finds out has quote unquote PP cancer, which is just prostate cancer. He's great. He's great. I can't wait to talk about him more in the season 4 review. But yeah, all these decisions that are written towards the end and in the art book when they say "Rip Henchman 2024." In this episode, we do the dumbest thing possible, which is kill half our comedy team. The night when we were just throwing dumb wish list ideas at each other, I think Doc came to me and said, "I want to kill 24," and he really didn't have any other reason. I was just like, "Okay," I don't know why he wanted to do it. Doc Hammer. I remember that we thought when the season thought this is probably going to happen. Jackson was against it. I don't remember what I did to convince him. I think I just kept talking about it. And he was like, you know what? It might be such a stupid idea that it was worth it. And it seemed like a dumb idea. And then we kept investigating a dumb idea. Occasionally, stupid things, if you investigate them, are actually good ideas. This one never felt like a good idea. Yeah, it's to me, it's interesting because it's just like, every comedy duo here is Laurel and Hardy or Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
They really it's an incredibly consequential choice. The character deaths in this series overall, there really haven't been any that are consequential so far until this episode.
Oh yeah.
And
this is the most consequential episode.
Yeah,
because it sets up the rest of the series.
For sure. From this point, not having killed 24, not having killed the clones, you just have a completely different the series just has a completely different character.
Oh yeah.
Right. The boys have to grow up. They cannot remain as they are.
Gary has to become a man.
Yeah, and so does Gary. Yeah, there's growth now, not stagnation. And Brock leaves. Brock is disgusted with the spy game from this like series of betrayals, and he is no longer the bodyguard of the Venture family.
And this is where Sergeant Hatred becomes the bodyguard.
Yeah.
And also
Oh,
at the
and
same time,
yeah.
what else is in here that I have to think about? It's kind of important. Also this of course because he's gone rogue, so to speak. Hunter Gathers is now part of the Blackheart's femme fatale team, which of course later sets up the whole Sphinx deal because they're going after bad guys who go rogue. But I mean, this finale in this season is where the show really hits its stride in terms of what they want to do with it, but also that everything from here on out, like these are all the same characters. There's no do-overs. There's no more clones. There's no more. There's going to be a ton more comedy duos, but I mean, you actually get some serious character development from here on out, and it really pays off. Like seasons 1 and 2 are kind of rough, and there are some memorable season 1 episodes, and there are great season 2 and 3 episodes. But everything from here on out, it's almost all bangers. Like I
Yeah.
don't think there's a season 4, 5, 6, or 7 episode I really don't like because it really starts becoming a serious plot-driven show and a little less monster gag of the week.
Yeah, there aren't as many true standalones after. I mean, the standalones decrease as the series goes on. I feel to a large extent, but maybe not entirely. There are a couple, even in like the very late seasons that are truly, like I'm thinking of like the Warhol episode, but
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of them.
um, but yeah, it you start getting like real development, and the characters of certainly the boys, definitely, and most especially 21 uh have some of the strongest. 21 probably has the strongest arc in the entire show, and if this doesn't go down the way it did, you don't get that. You never get Gary's arc. So
That is true, and you really wouldn't. Um, and again, like this episode is this whole finale is the one that really kicks it off into high gear. Although there are some really good, as we mentioned throughout earlier this review, there are some really good one-offs or gags or meta jokes in here. Like we were talking about in the last review episode that we did about the what was it? The Cradle of Mummies, right? Like it's just in media res the
Return to the
whole
House of
episode.
Mummies. Yep.
Yeah, just an in media res episode that's a total middle finger and is a great play on the serialization bit.
Or
And then also
Escape to the House of Mummies Part 2.
Escape to the House
Sorry.
of Mummies in the same way it's like Escape to Witch Mountain.
Yep.
And of course, like the same reason why I liked the beginning episode because it just plays off of flashback, and it's just a really creative way of poking fun at the medium, and it's just cleverly done. And this is why you want to find like if you're an artistic guy, find the people that just fucking understand you on the same wavelength. This is what makes shameless plug here. This is what makes my our good friends Tuki's Sidebar podcast that Cap is one of the co-hosts of, where the three of you guys just get it.
Yeah. I certainly appreciate that. I obviously great duos as well. You and Geo on the Digital Archipelago, of course. There's a there's a degree to which, like, I don't know, I don't want to necessarily say it's a dialectic, but conversations with people who have slightly different but complementary viewpoints can be incredibly valuable for expanding your own understanding of things. um art not uniquely, but maybe especially so.
Well, I'll have your links as well as Mr. Hudson and the Double Dealers links down below in the description when I upload this. But I mean, yeah, this will continue. If you've made it this far, congrats. I hope that you're a big fan of the show. If not, do not worry. I didn't make this for you. fuck you. I made this for myself and my friends. It's the same thing I said at the end of the last episode of our little series retrospective. This is one of my favorite Adult Swim shows of all time. I've been told that I should really get into Smiling Friends, but this is
It's
still
absolutely fantastic.
I really got to watch it then. But this is my number one Adult Swim show ever made. Like I grew up watching like the golden era of Adult Swim, irreverent comedy of like the Venture Brothers, Super Jail, and Robot Chicken. So like this is just it's a mix of nostalgia, but rewatching it to do this series has just been proof that it has aged incredibly well, despite a show starting when George W. Bush was in his first term and ending with a movie that came out while fucking Joe Biden was president. Just yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good writing. All right, well, I guess we'll come back for season 4. And we may also do all the bonus content that comes in there, like the what was it, like the Cradled Gravy band that
Shallow
uh,
Gravy.
Shallow Gravy that Dermot and Hank are in.
Yep.
And we might do some of the like Christmas specials and episodes that they've done that are season 4 and previous, and we'll go from there. And then we'll conclude this eventually with just the movie.
Just the movie.
Just
I
the
mean,
movie
we're
is
gonna
how we'll
have
conclude it.
we're gonna have quite a few more of these.
Yeah, quite a
'Cause
few
we
more
are-
of these. So
we
seasons
are-
1 and
yeah.
2 is in the previous episode. We did season 3 today. Season 4 and the bonus episodes will come next time after the Old Glory Club conference that I'm going to. And I'll meet Cap there. So who knows what we'll do. And then
Who knows?
after that, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we will conclude with Radiant is the Blood of a Baboon Heart.
Absolutely. See
All
you
right.
next time.
See you next time, gents.